Hello, my name is Dr. Mark Symmons. Before we start, I thought I'd tell you a bit about myself and my teaching philosophy, since you'll be stuck with me for the rest of the semester. Oh, and excuse me if I'm squinting a bit. I'm sitting outside in the Brisbane sunshine. And in fact, you can probably see behind me a bit of a reflection looking out from the top of the building. Anyway, perhaps not. I've been creating and teaching psychology and counselling subjects for more than a decade at multiple institutions, both university and the higher ed sector of vet institutions. I've taught into APAC accredited programs, into an accredited alcohol and other drugs counselling program, into a non-accredited counselling program, and into a non-accredited psychology course. I've devised a range of individual subjects, as well as whole courses for counselling, psychology and honours. I've taught psych and counselling at first year level, as well as upper level subjects and research methods, personality psychology, abnormal psych, sports psych, social psych, developmental psych, organisational psych, positive psychology, health psych, which I taught into a nursing course, that was interesting, counselling of various flavours, a behaviour change subject, a subject on motivation and emotion, sensation and perception, and honours coursework subjects. I've also created an internship program for undergraduate psychology students. I don't tell you all this to boast, unless of course you're impressed, but as background before my first real point. Counselling and psychology are both very broad and interlinked disciplines. No course anywhere covers everything. When I'm teaching, I tend to draw in other areas to try to present the concepts in a more integrated and interconnected manner. Of course, this also means that I tend to drift off on tangents and can take a circuitous route to make a point, but it's all relevant, I promise. Besides, you have the textbook and readings for the specific content. I'm trying to add value rather than just regurgitate the textbook. Otherwise, what's the point of having a lecturer? Like most academics, I also enjoy research. Unlike many academics though, I don't prefer research to teaching. Actually, I see them as complementary. I have attracted more than $4 million in research funding from a range of sources and published more than 70 peer-reviewed papers. My areas of research include road safety, virtual reality and the sense of touch, distance learning and engagement, sustainability and environmental psychology, and a bunch of other things. I've also collaborated with academics across a range of faculties. This gives me plenty of breadth to insert into my teaching and helps to bring a real-world focus to whatever I'm teaching about. As I said before, I quite like teaching, and psych is an interesting area to teach because it's relevant to everything, and I like sharing that with students. I like explaining concepts and watching your heads nod as you think, yeah, I get that, or that's interesting, or I might try that myself, or hey, that happened to me, or so that's why he or she did that. Regardless of the subject and your course, we'll be talking about stuff that you actually use from today, well, you can use from today. So you should never ask, when will I ever use this stuff, as I did when learning calculus. As I say in my first year classes, if you are not using this stuff to make your life better and manipulate the world around you, then I expect others are manipulating you for their own benefit. Don't believe me? Have you ever had parents stay within the speed limit, bought an item of clothing with a brand name on it, succumbed to peer pressure? Yeah, that's right. You are being manipulated all over the place. But the more you understand, the more you can use it yourself. Always for good rather than evil, of course. You need to advance psych to get away with using it for evil. A study came out recently reporting that Australian graduates feel that their degrees do not prepare them for How you doing? A study came out recently reporting that Australian graduates feel that their degrees did not prepare them for a career. Sure, they got a qualification and expertise in a specific field, but they weren't able to turn that into a set of skills to get, do, and keep a job. Only 27% of respondents felt strongly that their studies had prepared them to work effectively with others. 24% felt their studies had contributed very much to their ability to solve complex real-world problems. Clearly they needed more applied psychology content in their course. In another study, half of all Australian bachelor graduates felt university staff seemed more interested in testing what they had memorised than what they understood. By harping on about applying knowledge and setting assessments with an applied component rather than another boring essay, I'm trying to do something different. Now, a bit about expectations. Increasingly, education is being seen as a provider-customer relationship. Students pay fees and expect value for money. I'm comfortable with the idea of you wanting value, but I won't be thinking of you as a customer. So forget about the idea that the customer is always right. I'm about facilitating your learning and development, helping you in some small part on your journey to becoming more, heading towards and realizing your potential. Yeah, I know that sounds corny, but it leads nicely into my next point. I believe in personal responsibility. You want something, you go and get it, rather than expecting it to be given to you. You screw up, you take responsibility and you learn from it rather than blaming others. I get paid regardless of how well you do. I'm not required to drag you through with a pass. I'm not a high school teacher after all. You are not customers or clients, and I'm not your educational servant, especially since you don't tip very well. However, I do prefer that you do well, and there is no reason why you can't. I will aim to help you learn by explaining stuff, encouraging discussion, mentioning stuff that's happening in the real world that's relevant at the time, drawing links across the subject and between subjects and between courses, and setting assessment tasks that require you to understand stuff so that you can apply it rather than just memorize it. So I'll provide the opportunity to learn and do well. It's up to you to take advantage of it. The more you engage with the material, the better you will understand it, and the more you will actually learn as opposed to just memorize. That in turn will translate into higher marks and even to you retaining stuff after the semester is finished, which is actually quite unusual. Better still, plenty of students go on to actually use this stuff in their daily lives. I've had students come up to me towards the end of semester to say they use the stuff I taught them in sports psych or behaviour change and have been able to stick at their exercise program or use the relationship stuff or change their way of thinking about a personal problem and so on. Again, this is stuff that has immediate application. While on personal responsibility, if you don't understand something I'm explaining, then don't just sit there all glassy-eyed or update your Facebook status to bored, say, "Mark, what the hell are you talking about?" or something like that. I will try explaining it in a different way or use a different example, and you will get it eventually. After all, you already know about or have experienced or seen a lot of what we'll cover, but without necessarily knowing the explanation or the research behind it or the concepts and so on for this everyday stuff. Because remember, psych is everyday stuff. So understanding this stuff will be useful to your life. So rather than asking, will this be on the exam, ask, how can I use this today? I also always say there are no dumb questions or answers, only dumb students not willing to have a go. If there's something you don't understand, I guarantee you won't be the only one. I will never belittle a student for asking a question. Aim to do well. If you set out thinking, I just want to pass, it is unlikely you do much better than that. Maybe a credit if you're lucky. We are bound to talk about self-fulfilling prophecies at some stage, but having a mindset to ace the unit will result in a better mark than aiming to pass, even if you think you are putting in the same effort. I'm not making this stuff up. There is research to support it. So, work together and help each other. It's not a competition. And research shows that cooperation produces better outcomes than competition anyway. Yes, I know that is made harder by distance, but you have online forums for discussion with each other and me. And who knows, one of your fellow students might just live down the road or close enough to set up your own study group anyway. Then have me join your study group in someone's kitchen or the local cafe, via Skype, or on a Google Hangout or whatever, so you can ask some questions together. So what's next? Start as you mean to finish, on a high note. Introduce yourself. The sooner you contribute something to the online discussion, the better. Tell the rest of us who you are and perhaps something personal to help us all bond. I'll start. I like to cycle, road bike, skinny tyres, bent over, lycra, which I won't show you, so don't worry. Weaving through the traffic, going as hard and as fast as I can. Not quite Tour de France level, but hey, Cadell never had to spend half his year teaching university classes. So, buckle up, stow your tray table, bring your seats to an upright position. It's time to get this party started. Take this baby out on the highway to see what she can do to get our journey underway. You choose your favourite metaphor. I'm Mark, and I'll be your captain, your driver, your host, your waiter, your DJ. Okay, perhaps not your DJ. Now, where's the off button?